is a result of the things you are thinking about yesterday. So when you will be tomorrow will be determined by the things you think about when? Today. So our vision, like you have heard, is transforming Africa one mind at a time. When you hear the word transatlantic, it means across the Atlantic, isn't it? When you hear transnational, it means across nations. Similarly, the word transform means across form, from one form to another. From the egg to the caterpillar, to the pupa, to the butterfly. Unfortunately, what a lot of people call transformation, they're just dancing around as eggs. Sitting egg, standing egg, turning egg, honey, you are still an egg. And so my mission is to take Africans from one form to another. Now, and I tell you, I'm a product of transformation. I was at a stage in my life so poor that the poor called me poor. And that is a bad place to be. When people who are certified poor look at you and say, damn, Wale is poor. That is such a bad place to be. You know, that's where we are coming from. And let me tell you something that will help you. Is that okay? When you are in the egg stage, there are some people who can only handle you as egg. They cannot handle you as caterpillar, and they most definitely cannot handle you as butterfly. You know what? Let them go. Because once you begin to transform, people are going to say, he's so proud. Look at him. Eh? And they say, you know, we used to be friends, and he's so arrogant. We used to... And I said, duh. Don't you? Of course I have to change. Because at that form, we had common realities. Our common reality is, how do we pay rent? I mean, I was living at a place where my rent was 15,000 and I never paid it at a go. We always paid it in 3 or 4 installments, 15,000. But my reality is different today. My reality today is, how do we buy companies in other countries, and I'm checking out the price of a Boeing 737-400 series. And you know, I'm so happy Messi calls that, because whether you believe it or not has no bearing on whether it's going to happen or not. I was not telling you to ask for permission. It was FYI. Oh, is somebody telling? Is somebody hearing me today? Now tell your neighbor you are in the right place tonight. Now let me warn you, like I think I told you last month, my wife said when I get excited, the first thing that happens is the Nigerian accent now comes. Then after that, the jacket goes off. Then the tie, so when these things begin to happen, fear not. These are the signs that things are getting better. So one mind at a time. Now, you know, I call this gown meeting town. Academic gown meeting the town. Now, most of us were trained to view the world from an academic perspective. And that academic perspective is not sustainable in the real world. How many professors of business administration have started successful businesses? With due respect to the professors of business administration. Isn't it? No matter what your field, the difference between the super successful and the ordinary lies in their entrepreneurial skill. What's the difference between a successful lawyer and a struggling lawyer? Entrepreneurial skill. What's the difference between a successful accountant and a struggling accountant? What's the difference? Entrepreneurial, isn't it? Yes. And let me tell you, look, my wife was trying to give, I've lived on this earth for quite a few years. You know what I mean? You know, I'm 45 going on 29. Now, you know, I liked when I was 30, you know, so I'll be 30 very soon. Now, I have seen all sorts of fads. People going from one profession. There was a time when the fad was everybody become a doctor. everybody become a lawyer. In Nigeria, everybody become an army officer so you can plan a coup. I mean, but I discovered there's no perfect profession because I know poor lawyers. I know poor doctors. I know poor accountants. And I know poor army officers. There's no perfect profession. So what distinguishes you in your profession is your entrepreneurial ability. The ability to turn that profession into a living, active stream of income. That is the difference. So unfortunately, we look at somebody who seems to be doing well in an area, then everybody wants to be that, isn't it? Why? Because we thought it was in the profession. Such thinking is called mumu. You understand what I'm saying? I will define that later on. Yeah, we thought it was in the profession. So everybody runs in that direction, and then when they begin to struggle, they wonder why they're struggling. Because it is not in the profession. It is in your entrepreneurial ability. Your ability to turn that profession into a viable stream of income. Is somebody with me today? So, this is driven, entrepreneurship is driven by the business owner mind and not an academic mindset. The problem with so many people and the reason why they will struggle and struggle is because they have an academic perspective to life. And life is not academic. They have a very academic perspective. Now, I call it academic education versus colloquial education. Colloquial means street. Okay? What's the difference between the two? Academic is rigid. Colloquial is flexible. So when you see academics, they just stay on one spot. You understand what I'm saying? But colloquial education is flexible. Academic relies on textbook definitions. Colloquial creates personal definitions from experience. When I define, that's why people want to hear those who have this colloquial angle. Because we have had the textbook definitions. We all know the textbook definitions of marketing. We know the textbook definition of branding. We know the textbook definition of leadership, don't we? But we have looked at all those textbook definitions and we are still on the same spot. But the colloquial, you are creating definitions from your experiences as you are moving on. I discovered, I caused a stir, I think I caused a bit of a stir, when I said, leadership is the ability to bring out the fool in those who thought they were wise. And, you know, I got some heated feedback. And I said, listen, you see, the textbook definition says leadership is this and this and this, and it all sounds so nice. But I have been in boardrooms, I have been in situations where you see people arguing about something. Heated argument. And you see somebody who at a point looks like he doesn't have a clue and is sitting down and watching. And when you're having all your heated argument because you think you're the most brilliant person, that person that sat down quietly suddenly comes up and says something, and all of you wonder, why didn't we think about it like that? Now, and we all feel so foolish for the arguments we had before. Haven't you seen that before? And that's why I said leadership is the ability to make those who think they are wise, is to bring out the fool in them. Leadership is the ability to bring out the genius in the fool also. Isn't it? Now, those are not textbook definitions. Those are definitions you acquire as you grow. These are definitions because I was a fool until somebody brought out the genius in me. One of the people that brought out the genius in me was my mother. I mean, my mom, I had done a project for the government many years ago, Nigeria. I did a project. I was working for a research institute. And in this research institute, they asked us to do something. The government asked the institute to do something. And it was handed over to me. And I did that whole thing. My bosses handed it over to me. Then, passed it on to the government. Government got excited, approved it. Everybody was celebrated. Only one problem. When the thing was taken to the government, my name was removed. And I said, do you know what I did? You know what I did? Oh man, yesterday I was working with one of my favorite companies, and I asked them, I said, do you know what I did? And people came with all sorts of academic explanations of what I could have done. Went back to the drawing board. All those things are academic. What did I do? I cried. You understand what I'm saying? And I was not crying, you know those Hollywood tears that you just put the handkerchief. I cried. Let he who does not cry cast the first stone. So I cried. Then my mother said, what's your problem? When a chicken lays an egg, and you take the egg from the chicken, it does not cry. It goes and it lays more eggs. He said, there are more eggs inside you, stupid. Go and lay them. So I have been laying eggs ever since. Is somebody hearing me? Tell your neighbor, go and lay eggs. Oh. Hey. So that's where you create, colloquial creates the definitions as you experience it. You understand?